Welcome back to the party package. My name is Owen, and welcome back to the show, as it's currently being called. Now, today I wanted to talk about some NHL news / rumors / things that I just want to kind of talk about. So first off, Sharks fan here, Mario Ferraro re-signed today. I think it was 2026, so I guess 3 years by 3.2 something million or something along those lines, at least 3 million something. I think this is a really good deal for the Sharks, and I think it's a good deal for him. I think right now that is around what he's worth, being a 14-point defenseman, but obviously watching him on the ice, I could totally see him breaking out and getting like 30 points as a defender. Watching him, if Mike Matheson can get 31 points, Mario Ferraro can get 31 points. If you've ever seen him on the ice, you will understand what I'm trying to say here. He has speed, he has skill, and his shot isn't really like, he's not like Erik Karlsson, or at least prominent Erik Karlsson, but he's his line mate, and I think this is a really big signing for them. I think any team, if the Colorado Avalanche traded for him instead of Josh Manson or something, people would probably light up and be like, "Whoa, this guy, he has got jets for legs." Once he gets the puck and he decides to go for it, he's like when you're watching a high school game and that one guy on the team is just like, "I'm just better than everyone else and I can skate." He might be one of the fastest defensemen in the league, but he just doesn't, since he's on the Sharks, he doesn't really get a lot of chances to show off his speed and skill. So I think this is a really good deal for the Sharks and him to prove himself over these next 3 years for a next big contract at the end of it, or maybe he gets traded away because it's a pretty nice contract for a team that wants a pretty good defender. Say the Avalanche need a replacement instead of Sam Girard, which I'll talk about. They could bring him in, and maybe they take off with him. Because in my eyes, Super Mario Ferraro, I would totally buy into if I was any GM in the league. He's phenomenal, and I think people need to look more out for him. So next up, obviously everyone already knows this, and I already talked about this in my Chicago video, but everyone already knows TOEWS said recently that he doesn't like the idea of a rebuild, and KANE the last word of it was that he hasn't really decided his opinion on it, but TOEWS said, or at least all the headlines, I guess, keep saying that he is not interested in sticking around for a rebuild. And I wouldn't either. If I was those two guys at the end of my careers, and especially since they just traded away, they just lost Dominic Kubalik, they got rid of Kevin Lankinen, they traded away Fleury, they sign Seth Jones, you lose Alex DeBrincat and Kirby Dach. I mean, this team's just doing everything wrong to maybe get Connor Bedard, but whatever. That's his name, isn't it? Connor Bedard? It's Bedard. It's something Bedard. Pretty sure it's Connor. And so, my thoughts on this, I mean, everyone already knows this, but I just had a thought of it, where do I see them going? Jonathan Toews, for me, he obviously got injured, and he's not really having, the best time after coming back from injuries, but I would still say he's solid enough for a team that wants to play for something. So, personally, for me, if I was a certain GM, I would go after him if I was a contender, and I would go after him, have the Hawks retain salary, of course, and I could totally see him playing on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Could you imagine Toews on the Lightning, and then they've got 3 dominant lines there? You have Stamkos, Kucherov, and Braden Point, Cirelli, you've got Killorn, you got all these guys through the lineup, and then you put Toews on the third line, the center. I mean, that's just incredible if that happens. I could also see the St. Louis Blues. The Blues could be a big pickup there. I think they kind of need one of those types of centers that are a solid centerman. Of course, he's not as good as he used to be, but solid around center. I see a lot of teams that need that, maybe a cheap and rental, but he still has, I don't know. I personally see him on Tampa Bay. Toews on Tampa Bay seems right to me. Patrick Kane, I mean, everyone knows it's New York or whatever, but I don't think that's going to happen. New York would be too much of a stretch because they don't really have any money. I don't really know where I would put Kane, because a team that would pick up his $10 million contract would need to be able to have that they would need that space to trade away, and they would also need to give something up, because I'm sure the Blackhawks wouldn't just give up Kane as well, but I guess they did get rid of DeBrincat for nothing, so I'm not entirely sure there. But obviously that's just news that I want to put on the board. Now, of course, the other news is KADRI and the Isles have been the word together. And for me, I would say that would be a really good steal for the Islanders, because I covered them a couple days ago, is that the Islanders are a defensively built team that wants toughness and solid play for their offense. Like Anders Lee and Josh Bailey, you can think of like some like big like solid. Like, when I say solid, I don't mean, like, as in a defenseman way. I was talking about Ferraro. He's a solid player. I'm saying, like, solid, like, well-built, like, forwards. And KADRI could fit that bill. And I also think that it would work because coming off his 87-point season, if you put him with, like, on the team, it might ignite a little bit more offense from the team. And it would be a good pickup. I could totally see those two teams working together. But for me, personally, KADRI is an interesting pickup for a team, because he only had, I don't know if a lot of people have realized this, but this year, of course, 87 points, really good. But last two seasons, he had 32 and 36 points. Before that was 44, and that was his last year with the Maple Leafs. Before that was 55, and that was on the Maple Leafs. So he was slowly going down, and he had a jump this season with the Avalanche with 87 points. And I would like to point that out, that he might have had that incredible season this 1 year, because KADRI, I keep saying, is that the Avalanche last year, that was their year to shine. I felt like this was the year that everything was perfectly coming together. Everyone was having their best years. I mean, other than, like, people like McKinnon who's injured or something, like, that doesn't count. But, like, all around, everyone was having their best season going forward. And I just feel like KADRI, to sign him to, like, because obviously he would want, like, an $8 million contract. I just feel like that's a big risk, especially to add him to a team like the Islanders, who were terrible in scoring goals, that if his one season would be good enough. Because I could totally see the future here. He signs with the Islanders, or like the big move, this is going to push them over the hump, but then he goes back to his 32 points. I'll give him 44, 55 points. I'd say he gets like 44, 55 points that season, and like because the team already is not very good at scoring goals, I don't think KADRI is the type of player that's going to spark the goal scoring. And I could totally see in like a few years after that deal, it's like, well, biggest bummer contracts of the league with Sean Monahan and Seth Jones. Now we can add Nazem Kadri to the list. So I just think that's interesting. And I think people are also are missing certain free agents out there. There's still Phil Kessel. By the way, Phil Kessel had 52 points last year. He had 52 points. He had 44 assists, 8 goals. That is a really solid season. Remember, he played on the Coyotes and got 52 points. Led the team in points and in the National Hockey League with the Coyotes. Imagine, he's still getting 44 assists. That's a lot of assists. Imagine you put him with a team that can also help him with scoring. I could totally see him getting to like at least 15 goals, 40 assists. I mean, Phil Kessel, I feel like, is being looked over because he was on the Coyotes. But, I mean, he's not just as good as ever, but, I mean, still kicking. I think any team that really wants that little oomph to their lineup, I could see him going to, like, St. Louis or even, once again, Tampa Bay, where they could add in Kessel and TOEWS. And I think Kessel would probably take a not super big, but, like, I don't know, like $3-4 million contract. Add him to your lineup, and you got 40 assist guy on your team. I think that would be great for a team. Maybe the Islanders too, KADRI and Kessel to the lineup. That could spark some offense. I would say Any team should try to go pick up Phil Kessel. Also, we got Paul Stastny. Of course, we all know who he is, but Stastny with a great season. Well, not the best season ever, but great centerman. I think any team could try to pick him up. Once again, a lot of options out there that could pick up him, kind of like the Anaheim Ducks or something, the team that needs that little center core action in there. There's a lot of PK Subban, of course, not who he used to be, but I mean, still a pretty solid defenseman, especially to add some name value to your lineup. And I don't know what team would really need a PK Subban, a guy that used to be able to get points and now doesn't really get so many points. I don't know what team would need to pick him up. I feel like a lot of teams could, but I don't really know where he would slot in. Could he bounce back? Maybe, if he's not on a terrible team like the New Jersey Devils. I don't know. And also some RFAs. There's also guys that haven't been signed. You got Jason Robertson, Noah Dobson, Natchez, Roy or Waugh, whatever his name is from Vegas, Pavel Zacha, Kirby Doc, Lawson Krause. There's a lot of RFAs out there. And I just think it'll be interesting to see, because someone like Noah Dobson, I mean, he led the Islanders defensively on points, 51 points for a defenseman. That's pretty dang good, and you still have to sign him, Jason Robertson of the Stars, so it'll be interesting. Maybe some of these guys get offer sheeted. Maybe they have to get traded away. I don't know yet. Maybe Dallas does something crazy. They trade Robertson to Chicago, get KANE back. Chicago signs Jason Robertson. It's just something to think about. There's some ideas out there that it could work for some of these teams and how the future of these teams go with some trades. There's just a lot of options out there right now that no one's really picking up on currently. There's been no news lately. So other than Jesper Bratt signed yesterday. So that's really all I have to say about the news for today right now. So I guess please pick up your free subscription down below by hitting that red subscribe button. Hit the little bell that pops up next to it. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, not a dislike, and you go down below to the comment section and leave any comments, concerns, suggestions, reviews, feedback, or other types of tangents, rants, and opinions. And tell me, who do you think your team of choosing? Who do you want them to pick up from free agency right now, or what moves do you want them to make? Because there's a lot of moves that could still happen. There's a lot of free players out there. So leave that down below, and until next time, I have been Owen, too sweet, and ta-ta for now.